Yo, what is good YouTube? I am Richie Kim, and today I'm going to be bringing you all the performance review on Donovan Mitchell's second signature shoe with Adidas, the D.O.N issue number 2. Before we get started, if you all enjoy sneaker content just like this, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button down below. But anyways, let's get right into it. As always, starting off with the traction, the D.O.N issue 2 has a spiderweb inspired traction pattern. It basically looks like spider webs across the whole bottom of the shoe, and honestly, you know, the traction was pretty good for the most part, at least for me. On clean courts, you guys aren't gonna have any problems. The bite is really nice on those clean courts, but when you do play on those dustier courts, make sure to wipe because dust does get stuck onto the shoe and you will have to wipe to maintain some good traction. And if you all let the dust accumulate too much, you'll probably slip, because there were some times where I did have some slight slipping issues on the regular, like average dusty type of court. If you guys are playing on those cleaner courts, you guys really won't have any problems. I didn't have any problems on clean courts, so I really don't think you all will either. But like I said, if you are playing on those, you know, average dusty courts to really dusty courts, make sure you wipe because you may have some slipping issues. So moving on to the cushion, the D.O.N issue 2 features full length bounce, and as always, almost always at least, bounce in this shoe is really nice. You're gonna have a thicker chunk of bounce in the heel, and in the forefoot it's obviously thinned out, and what you're gonna get is a lot of impact protection in this heel area, but not like overly cushiony, I guess. You do actually get some bounce out of the heel, whereas in the forefoot it's definitely, you know, thinned out, so you get more court feel and responsiveness. So definitely not as much bounce in the forefoot, but I'm perfectly fine with that because you actually get a good amount of impact protection from the shoe, even though you know, you don't have that much, I guess, like bounce cushion in the forefoot. You have just enough to give you that good impact protection, and in the heel you definitely have a lot of bounce coming from this bounce cushion. As I've mentioned many times before, I think bounce is a super underrated cushion setup, and when they do it right, it feels really nice. And the D.O.N issue 2 has the correct implementation of that Adidas bounce cushion. So moving on to the materials, D.O.N issue 2 pretty much features an entire mesh upper with some synthetic materials here and there. So what you're gonna get for the base is this mesh upper, which is pretty nice and pretty thick. It's very supportive. It gives you a lot of containment and it feels pretty good on foot, but it is definitely thick. So if you guys don't like, you know, overly thick materials, you probably won't like this, but I still think it feels fine on foot and feels very, very snug. Everywhere else, you do have like the screen mesh right here. That's just to show you, like, I guess the inside of the shoe with some fuse around that. And you also have this synthetic leather panel that kind of wraps around this entire medial part of the shoe. And this is here for that, you know, added durability for your toe drags and whatnot, and also for containment on the medial side of the shoe as well. As you move towards the back of the shoe, you do have more mesh, but it's more of like an open back mesh over here. And also the tongue is made up of mesh, and I would say that the tongue is like pretty decently padded. So overall material usage, especially for the price point, I'd say that the materials on the D.O.N issue 2 are actually pretty good. So moving on to the fit of the shoe, the fit in the D.O.N issue 2 is pretty weird. I went true to size, and I think true to size is actually the way to go in this shoe. Most Adidas models like go down to half size, but this one I'd say true to size is the way to go. But however, in the forefoot area, kind of like right here where the tongue meets the material of the toe box, it's really, really tight, and I got an excruciating amount of pain in that area, especially when you do like a cut or a cross or anything. And I crank down my laces, keep this in mind. But when I do those movements, I feel an immense amount of pain, and it just does not go away. I thought the materials would stretch and maybe it would get better or something, but it never went away. And every time I slide my foot into the shoe, I could definitely already feel that pressure, that unwanted pressure around in that area. But then once I make those movements, it just gets even worse. And I think part of that has to do with like underneath this tongue right here, where it meets this toe box area, there is an excess of material from the tongue, and I feel like maybe it's just taking up too much space, so your foot just gets kind of crammed in there. And then also where these eyelets are, or not really eyelets, but I guess like Adidas's version of Flywire, where the laces are going through, I can feel it digging in, especially on the medial side of the shoe, and it's just really not a pleasant feeling. But you know, outside of that, I'd say that the overall fit is pretty good. But yeah, I'm a slightly wide footer. I went true to size. I had that pain. So if you guys are, you know, wide footers to hella wide footers, definitely be careful. Maybe go up a half size or just stay away from the shoe altogether. Yeah, as a slightly wide footer, playing in the shoe was extremely painful. But maybe if you guys have skinny feet, narrow feet, you might be good. Overall, outside of that, you know, this fit issue in the forefoot area, the fit is actually pretty good. But if you guys are wide footers, just be really, really careful. So moving on to the support, I actually thought the support in the D.O.N issue 2 was pretty good. I didn't have any heel slippage. You do have an internal heel counter in this shoe, which, you know, makes sure that your heel is not going anywhere. You also have a fairly wide base on the shoe, so you aren't going to have any instability on those lateral movements. And also, I didn't have any sliding on the footbed or anything like that. And as far as torsional rigidity and stability goes, this is actually decoupled, and I'm pretty sure there is an internal shank in here. Not 100%, but I'm pretty sure. So you aren't going to have any torsional rigidity or stability problems. Honestly, I would say that the support on the shoe is probably one of the better features of the shoe. It pretty much has everything you want out of support in a shoe. So the D.O.N issue 2 retails for $100, and for $100, you know, I think it's a pretty solid shoe. There are some problems with the traction, like I mentioned earlier. Just make sure you always wipe that dust off, otherwise you may have some slipping issues. And there is some slight inconsistencies at times, but it was very rare for me. And then also, you know, the fit issue, I'm a slightly wide footer and I had that excruciating pain up in the forefoot area that just did not get better. So that was another issue for me. If you guys don't have those problems, you probably will enjoy the shoe a lot. Because it was fun while it lasted, while I could, you know, tolerate the pain. But then afterwards, I really just had to switch shoes because I could not wear this any longer. Otherwise, I felt like my foot was just gonna fall off because, you know, I was losing so much blood in my feet, honestly. But yeah, overall, everything else, you know, is pretty solid. You're getting decent materials for the price point of the shoe, getting great support, and it's a sick looking shoe in my opinion. I really wish that I didn't have that fit issue because I would definitely keep this in my rotation. So yeah, if you all wanted to pick up a pair, I'd say go for it. Just make sure you have the right fit and make sure you don't have that tightness up in the forefoot area. Otherwise, you'll probably end up returning the shoes because it's just gonna be too painful to play in. That's pretty much it for this performance review. If you all like this video, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button down below, and also smash that thumbs up button for me, as it really does help me out. While you guys are at it, check out this video on my left and on my right, and that's pretty much it. Until next time, peace.